Okay, some of the key objectives that we'll be covering on misinformation and disinformation will be to distinguish between information, misinformation, and disinformation in climate reporting, uh, identify common misinformation narrative in Africa climate context, apply fact-checking and verification tools to strengthen reporting, develop strategies for community-driven, credible
Joseph,
climate
can you please
storytelling.
just sorry to interrupt. Can you please share your screen,
Uh,
or would you
my
like me to
slide,
share
like,
the screen, the slideshow?
do you have it there?
Yes, I have.
Are you able to? Okay, you can, because on
Okay,
my
sure.
side it's refusing. It's
No,
refusing.
no worries, no worries. I'll just do that. No problem.
Okay.
Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen, Joseph?
That's the first one. Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
Okay, that's the first slide. Okay, as we continue, I'll be telling you to go on. Okay, identify common misinformation narrative in Africa climate context. Apply fact-checking and verification tools to strengthen reporting. Develop strategies for community-driven, credible climate storytelling. And we shall be, of course, we've started with the icebreaker and where we've known each other. I hope that everyone is here now, and I would like us all of us to ask ourselves and to start by, like, saying out, like, what was the most surprising or misleading climate claim you've heard in your country? Maybe for me, I'll start with the drought that happened in our country 2 years ago. You can go to the next slide. The drought that happened to Kenya 2 years ago. We had a lot of information, guys saying that that was it's God. So of course, they say it's God's punishment and something like that. But at the end of the day, we know that all these things were caused by, of course, fossil fuel and all that stuff. And maybe someone else can give us their encounter with something that they really got from their country. Maybe we can start with a lady from Nigeria or the one from Uganda.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can. We can.
Oh, the misinformation about climate was in the 2013 when floods occurred in Nyamamba in Kasese district. It had been quite long. They say the previous one happened in the 1960s. So when this happened, the misinformation about climate was people were saying in the past they would perform rituals at the river, they slaughter animals from there, perform cultural rituals, and this happened because the river was no longer being sacrificed to, so the ancestors were angry, and that is why it happened. So that was the misinformation about it. Thank you.
Okay, the next person.
All right, Mr. Joseph, your story or your narrative is not too far from mine, likewise that of Kibaba. And last year, where I am, I'm currently in Borno State, Maiduguri. There was a serious flooding, and people believed that it was due to the sin that the land has been adulterated. So God was trying to punish people through flood. And along the line, just recently, I also got to hear of a different narrative where people said that it was also a way of God liberating people from the shackles of witches and wizards, because it is believed that so many people did fetish things to some persons in different communities, where some people ran mad, some people left home and never returned. So after that flood, because they said those charms were buried in buried grounds, some were buried, in soccerways. So when that flood came, God liberated those people by washing away those charms. And then those people who ran mad or left home and never returned, they finally returned. So there are so many narratives around those, the climate change happening. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
There is another person who would like to contribute. Okay, if we all good, we can go to maybe out and understanding the landscape. Understanding the landscape of, just go back to that the other strip, understanding the landscape and understanding the psychology of misinformation. Of course, we have to know like information is accurate, verified content, and then we have the misinformation, that's false or misleading info spreading unintentionally. And of course, I'll give you examples of green energy in South Africa, where misinformation claims circulate that renewable energy like wind or solar is unreliable and cannot power industry, pushing people to defend coal. And then it was false, of course. South Africa power shortage, load shedding are often misattributed to renewable energy. And then, of course, the reality was the technical and governance failure in the coal sector are the main cause. Renewable energy projects have already proven cost-effective and reliable when integrated properly. And then, of course, countercheck was like Check Africa have debunked claims that solar and wind cause blackouts. And of course, we have the social media, influence of social media and perception. Social media usually amplify misinformation, affecting public perception and belief systems. And of course, various demographic factors, including age and education, signifying influence, susceptibility to misinformation. We can go to the next slide. Of course, we have the example of Kenya. Of course, Kenya misinformation, I mentioned it on the drought. Of course, when it comes to this information, examples, all companies have argued that exploiting offshore and forest adjacent reserve is necessary to pay for rainforest protection and conservation. Reality, these are false trade-off pits climate finance against fossil expansion. Independent research shows sustainable financing, debt swaps, carbon markets, conservation funds will support forests without locking in new oil exploration. Okay, strategy for enhancing media literacy. Developing media literacy skill is essential for audiences to critically evaluate information sources effectively, engaging audiences with skepticism, encouraging audiences to approach information without skepticism can bolster their critical thinking capabilities. Of course, these slides were built in mind for journalists, but since it's for everyone, I'm trying to mix from one source to another. So like I'm doing like I'm referring to sources sometimes. And then we have educational programs for critical thinking. Implementing educational programs that focuses on critical thinking can empower individual, communities, or even youth organizations to discern credible information. You can go to the next one. Before we go to effective communication strategy for media profession, of course, now I'll have to go to the community, and then now we ask ourselves, like, why climate misinformation spreads? Climate misinformation continues to undermine global efforts to address the climate crisis. It spreads quickly across communities and online platforms, fueled by the three main factors: the complexity of climate science, vested interest, and political narratives. And then, of course, we have the complexity of science. Climate change is a highly technical issue involving atmospheric science, energy systems, economics, and policy. For many people, the scientific language and data-driven explanations are difficult to understand. Of course, science, these are complex creative space for simplified but misleading narratives that are easier to share. Remember and believe, for example, a heat wave may be dismissed as just weather, ignoring broader scientific patterns of global warming. And of course, we have had instances of heat waves even in our country, Kenya. We have had it in other countries all over the world, especially in Asia. We've seen it, and even in Europe. And then we have vested interest with the fossil fuel industries, emitting sector often have different stakes in slowing down climate action. This actor may fund campaigns, think tanks, or media outlets that spread doubt about the agency of climate crisis by promoting misleading theory, such as overstating the cost of renewable energy or questioning scientific consensus. They aim to protect profits and delay policies that will phase out polluting activities. Of course, we have political narratives, like in all these big events, we usually see their political declaration. So sometimes we see this big continent and big countries telling us, okay, pull out of UNFCCC, we've done this, we've done this. These are the things that polarize narrative that distort facts to fit ideological position. For instance, climate policies may be portrayed as a Western agenda or an unfair burden on developing economies, even when the goal is shared resilience and sustainable growth. Okay, and then a conclusion on that slide is climate misinformation thrives because it simplifies complex science, protects powerful interests, and feeds into existing political divides. Combating it requires trusted messenger, transparent communication, and local storytelling that connects scientific facts to people's lived experience. Only by addressing misinformation head-on can society build the trust and urgency needed for meaningful climate action. Of course, we have specific example. Or we can go to the next slide on your side. First. Yeah. Okay, next one. Because practical skills for addressing misinformation in media. Of course, tools. Oh, okay, it's okay. Okay, practical skill for addressing misinformation in media. I'll go to my other notes. Technical tools and technique for verifying sources, cross-checking data with, of course, the international organization, the IPCC, UNEP, AGNES, national meteorological departments all over the world. And then they provide context in storytelling. And then, of course, we have the Africa Check, first checking example. Okay, this is a case in South Africa. A politician claimed climate change is not real. It's just a way to control us. And then what did African Check say? Investigated, consulting scientists and meteorological data rated the claim false, showing evidence of rising temperatures, shifting rainfall, and extreme weather trends in South Africa. And then we have using tools like InVid for videos. Example, if a video is an example of Kenya now, a video circulates in WhatsApp in Kenya showing floods in Nairobi caused by climate change. And then in video, community leaders, youth leaders, or even organization, or even journalist or reporter, they can use these videos actually from Nairobi or an old clip from another country, e.g. India or even Sweden, allows you to run reverse images, video shows, checks to verify authenticity. And then now we have the local meteorological departments. These meteorological departments, they provide trusted climate and weather data that journalists can cite to counter misinformation. Example, the Kenya Meteorological Department regularly issues seasonal outlooks. If misinformation claims the drought is over, reporters, community leaders, youth leaders, and even organization, and people that even farmers. They can compare that against official forecasts. Of course, now we have the South Africa, and I think we are all together. Am I going faster? Am I going faster?
Yes, you can kind of go a bit slow. It's okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. Now I have like an exercise. Participants work in pairs to first check a short misleading post about climate. So, how many are we here? We have like a short exercise for like 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then the question is, have you ever like each one of us have you ever like come across a short misleading post about climate misinformation or disinformation? Like the floor is open to everyone.
Right. So, for example, I'll go first. The one thing that often comes up and something that sounds very scientific but isn't is that climate change is natural. Earth's temperature keeps changing, and then it's just a natural thing that is happening. So I think that is the most frequent thing I have come across. Yes, Kopal, go ahead.
Hey, lovely session. So I just wanted to add that I've come across a lot of disinformation posts, which are like spread across by, say, like political leaders who want to claim a certain project is not harmful for the communities living in that area or for the environment or the ecological, whatever for of the area. And sometimes they may say that, oh, this is not very harmful. This is not a risk for the environment. This is not a risk for um, all of that. And then they'll also claim that this is done in the interest of national security. That is one disinformation, and that is also sometimes supported on social media via their fake accounts, and like bots and trolls and such. And the second line is definitely something similar to what Devisha just mentioned, which is that floods are natural, that this is a natural disaster, landslides are natural, and this happens every year, and flooding in cities is natural. So yeah, I think. And then another, I mean, specific to India, I think is that the air pollution in the Delhi NCR region, which is the national capital region, is caused because of farmers. That is caused because of them burning residual crops, while the truth with a very simple Google search can reveal that it's because of the thermal power plants and not because of uh, the farmers. So yeah, those are some pieces of misinformation, disinformation that I've come across.
Thank you, Kopal. Anyone else would like to share their experience?
All
Okay,
right,
maybe
so okay. Um, for me, I would like to talk about misinformation. There are some information that goes like climate change is caused by foreign nations. So these are some of the propagandas we hear just to hinder development in countries like Nigeria or the African continent. So it's a deliberate attempt, to cause underdevelopment. So these are some of the kind of things we hear about climate change. So, and then again, you would hear people tell you that when you plant trees only or alone, it helps to solve the issue of climate change. So in fact, that is what is happening right here in Nigeria, like the region where I am. A lot of people would tell you that they are into climate change, and when you ask them what exactly do you do, they will tell you they are, planting trees. And though I know, yes, it's part of it, it's part of the solution, but they believe once you plant a tree, you have helped address completely the issue around climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanai. Anyone else?
Maybe if I can add another question is, what damage did this information cause? Maybe they can, those who spoke, try to explain.
Sorry, can you please repeat?
Okay, what damage this information cause? The misinformation and this disinformation. What, like, did it cause fear? Like people were confused or something like that?
Okay, so since I was the last to talk about misinformation, for me, I believe where I am right now, people don't even see climate change as a threat. They don't take it seriously because we are people who so much believe in the supernatural. So they believe, oh yes, it's God who brings about this catastrophe, and God is going to help us. So people don't really care much, and I think also because they don't have much information, detailed information about what climate change is all about. And then for some people who at least have, to an extent, knowledge about climate change or heat waves and all of that, who also believe that it's being caused by foreign nations, they believe, oh, it's the responsibility of these foreign nations. After all, they have big industries, they have the resources and the power to tackle the issue of climate change. So we don't even have to do anything, or we don't have to do much about it. But right here in Borno, where I am, which is the northern part of Nigeria, honestly, people don't even care much about the impact of climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanai.
Okay.
Yes. Joseph, shall we then continue back to the slides?
Yes, we can continue. We can continue, and then I'll let you know which slide you use.
Thank you. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see. And then engaging storytelling techniques for truth. That's what the first one is: crafting narratives that resonate well. Effective storytelling can humanize facts and create an emotional connection with the audience. I'm going to give you the real stories. And then understanding your target demographic better. Identify audience needs can enhance the impact of your messaging and against misinformation. Okay. So, and then just hold on there. And then best practice for countering disinformation. These are do's for community, youth leaders, farmers, and even the journalists. Okay, the first one is simplify climate science without oversimplifying. Simplifying climate science without oversimplifying. Don't make it too watery, and don't make it too calm. I think this is even a problem that we are having as journalists, understanding the climate science. We're trying as much as I can to speak the local language and the local dialect, and even relate with everyone that is in that area or that locality. And then the second one is using trusted local voices. I've been mentioning about farmers, scientists, youth. Of course, like if you want to confirm something to do with maybe the effects of oil spills, we have an example of maybe Nigeria there. And if farmers, we have examples of indigenous people that have been there in places of drought. They can tell you like, this is what happened, this is what happened. But sometimes they don't understand what really caused it. So that's why we are trying to do this so that we can correct that misinformation and make it right, the correct information. And then the next one, we have the combined human stories data. The human stories, like we have the IPC, I mentioned it earlier. Of course, we can check most of this data from even the UNEP and the African Group of Negotiators, that is Agnes. And then anticipate misinformation trends before major events. Of course, the major events, we're talking about the COPs, we're talking about elections. We're talking about, this way you mentioned the political declarations that usually happen, these major events, where people make decisions in interest of their country, so that they don't have to take responsibility for destroying the environment. And of course, I was talking about the do's, and we have the don'ts. Of course, as a youth leader, a community leader, a member of organization, or don't amplify false claims without context. You have to, like, if there's something that has happened in your community, please check out with the local meteorological department, check out with, of course, the African fast checkers. And of course, we have of course, scientists in various research institutes who can help you. And then don't rely solely on foreign sources. Local data matters. And here on local data, I would like us to engage and really discuss on how can we, since we all have those local data, how can we enhance and make them work for us? How can we make those local data work for the benefit of the community? Because that's where a lot of confusion happens, because most of that climate misinformation and disinformation, that's where people are affected mostly. I just have a question: how can we make this local data matter for us? As we're moving to the next slide, we can try and answer this. Maybe Debisha, you can give your reflections on this.
Yes. So if I can start with, so I mainly work on water and waste management. So while working on that, a lot of the places you don't have publicly available data, especially in rural areas. So then in those kind of situation, a lot of consultation, a lot of checking, especially post disaster, like whenever a cyclone hits a place, people are displaced, and people have this very immediate problems of like where do people go for toilet, pregnant women, how do they kind of manage their needs, how do menstruating girls, how to manage their needs. So these kind of information are not is not available publicly, and similarly even long term information, you don't have them publicly available. So those kind of situation, the only way forward we found is like going by consultations with different focus group discussions, going by localized surveys. So these are the kind of ways we can kind of access local data. And if there is, because there has been situation in which uh, people didn't even want to share the data for a variety of reasons, which is when we had to kind of have champions within the communities who were part of the communities, and they would be going out and kind of gathering information through their own means within the community. So that's how we kind of collected local data in the absence of publicly available data.
Anyone else? Please, I would like everyone to share, even if it's one word or two words, so that we can engage all of us. Please,
I
you can
shared,
mention.
sorry. I was saying that I wrote it in the chat, but like just giving more context that a lot. So I work on issues related to like on-ground communities, and sometimes, like Tabisha said, that there is not a lot of information that is available on the internet or like about the news. And sometimes you would like to report on it or like talk about the issue. So it helps to get like the current status of the situation as to what is happening there, what is the ground reality. And then the other part is also obviously getting the community perspective on things. Let's say if there's a flood, if there is a destructive project that is being proposed, then just getting their perspective on that, so that it's not just facts and figures, but also how like humans are like being affected by something. And yeah, I mean, I personally try to gather as much community data or local data as possible, because it can really also help with fact checking a lot of the news sources as well, because sometimes the names might be wrong, location names might be wrong, so it really helps with that as well. Sometimes fact checking also happens through the local data, in my experience.
Okay, next person. Or you can have the next slide. Okay, utilizing fast-checking resources effectively. Training members might be the members of the youth group, the women, the farmers, the local government officials, the officials, the church leaders. Training members on verification skills. Empowering individuals with verification skills promotes a culture of accuracy in information sharing. Building a network of fast checkers. Of course, here this is where we have people, maybe the younger people will help the older people to check, maybe on their phone and their internet and all that stuff. And then integrating fast checking into daily routines. Yeah, that's like, okay, this is where people organize themselves. I'm not merely talking of the meteorological or even the fast checkers. These are the local led initiatives where the youth and maybe the farmers are just working on themselves. So in daily media, I mean, people checking on Facebook, WhatsApp, and even Instagram and Twitter, and checking with sources. And of course, we're checking with scientific bodies, checking with the UN staff and all that. And then you have identifying reliable fast-checking platforms. Understanding which platforms are credible is crucial for effective misinformation counter-reaction. I would like to emphasize on this. Identifying reliable fact-checking platforms, understanding which platforms are credible is crucial for effective misinformation counter-reaction. So of course, we have so many blogs. We have people who are doing climate stories. We have people who are doing, of course, we have lobbyists from the fossil fuel big companies. Of course, they're doing their business. And of course, they have people who counter what we do. Now, it's upon us now to know that these people, when they tell you that they've come to this particular place to do oil, and we know what doing those oil rig and all those stuff, what sort of, it has not worked for us. The kind of information they are giving us, is it true that this oil brings development, or is it true that if we invest in renewable energy, it's not going to help us and sustain our environment? And then, okay, we can go to the next slide. Okay. Okay, this much of scientific navigating social media challenges with confidence. This is more advanced, and this is where we have media monitoring, understanding algorithms that spread misinformation, grasping how algorithms functions can help mitigate the spread of false information on social media. This is where we encourage groups and even organizations that work locally and even in locally or regional level to have some of their staff to have them get trained and understand what how misinformation comes by, or even disinformation. And then we have engaging community members in discussion, having local meetings, fostering open dialogue with online communities, and create a platform for truth and transparency. Like what we are doing now, we are sharing like what's really happening, which of course after this one we know other people will be doing the same meetings in their respective countries. And then analyzing successful case studies of campaigns, learning from successful initiatives against misinformation can guide new strategies and approaches. Learning from successful initiatives against misinformation can guide new strategies and approaches. So I'm not yet done. I have to go back to my other notes. Okay, one of the strategies I'll mention is misinformation a lie, which I had mentioned earlier. An example, a viral social media post often claim that droughts are caused by cloud seeding by foreign governments or NGO. No credible evidence links external actors to drought. Then the reality is Kenyan's drought is climate-driven, worsened by changing rainfall patterns, and La Nina events confirmed by the Kenya Meteorological Department. The La Nina events, this is what happens after the El Nino. We had like too much rain, and even the schools were closed. A lot of things, activities didn't take place for like 3 weeks. And then afterwards, we went into total drought. And this is something that was confirmed. And then counter check, local Met agencies, of course, we have one. And then we have people that are doing environmental journalism and all that stuff, and even scientists, and even people that do studies on this use of rainfall data and satellite monitoring to show evidence-based causes. From there, is there any reflection on that? Should I we have like we need to do a discussion. Debisha?
Yes.
Let me post this one on the chat there.
Sure.
Okay. Then you can read it, yeah? Are you able to see it?
Yes, we are.
We can read it?
Yes. So we want to do a breakout group exercise. So we are talking about each team with quick 2-minute project on misinformation, a short concept, campaign, or story idea, and how misinformation spreads and how to counter it. Great. Sure. Then I will create those groups, and then how much time do you want to take for this?
7 minutes.
7 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. And then now, like each and every group will have to give. They have to select how many people are we here, and then
Yeah, we are 11. So basically, we have like 9 people. So 4 and 5. 4 in one group, 5 in one group. You can do it that way.
okay, and then each group will present something briefly.
Yes. Sure.
Okay.
Okay, I will just now divide the participants in groups.
Okay.
Okay, all the participants, you would have received a invite for joining a breakout group. Can you please join? So Joseph, in that case, I will just move to the other group and then I will guide the participants over there. Yeah.
Okay.
The breakout room.
Mm-hmm.
In the breakout room, each group is going to design a quick 2-minute project on misinformation. We are to write a short concept, campaign, or a story idea that highlights how misinformation and how it is and how to encounter it. Maybe we are going to write a short story on how misinformation spreads so fast and how we can overcome it.
Counter it.
Yeah, counter it.
Okay, there's been a lot of misinformation and disinformation around climate issues, especially with the coming of Trump in power. Most people now look at climate change as a myth, and that is actually trending on all social media platforms. And I think in order to debunk that, we can debunk it by organizing social media campaigns where we can have like Twitter storms, Instagram lives, or try to like design a campaign.
I would like to know what is the misinformation on media?
The misinformation trending is that climate change is not real. It's a myth in the US. So most fundings on climate, US is no longer funding climate issue. Also withdrew from the Paris Agreement. And recently they also withdrew from the SDGs.
Yeah, Trump, even in the first term, he had done that. So again, no surprise there.
Yeah, and so most climate fundings are no longer coming directly from the USA. So USA does not longer fund climate related solutions. So I think that is one of the myths that has been trending on social media. And in order to debunk it, we could do that by maybe organizing online campaigns with facts, with data gotten from different climate issues in different countries, especially in the global south, where we contribute little or nothing to the climate impacts, but we are the ones suffering the impact the most. So we can bring out instances of climate disaster like floods, drought. We also have food insecurity,
Waste management.
Poor waste management due to lack of good drainage systems and the rest. So there's just a lot of climate impact we are facing in the global south.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you want to then focus now, because it's a very short project. If you just want to write down the bullet points, one of you can write and then both of you can just present it. So that's what I would suggest. So firstly, what is the misinformation we are countering?
The misinformation we are countering is the US thinking climate change is not real through withdrawing itself from the Paris Agreement. In this, it's no longer even providing funding is no longer coming in from the US.
Yeah,
Am
and
I
due to
right?
its status, yeah, you are right. And due to its status as a superpower, people believe more when something comes from the US, and that is actually causing a lot of people to think that climate change is not real.
Right. So
Mm.
yes, I'm just noting it down.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then the solution to it is organizing online campaigns with facts, especially from the global south, that address challenges that are being affected with climate, including floods, drought, poor waste management that is leading to the depletion of water bodies, I think.
Food insecurity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one can be that, like, during the campaign, we're going to bring evidence-based data
So yes.
from the
Yeah.
So
global
now if you're
south.
just going by the question, what is the campaign? Yes. What is the concept? What is the campaign? What do you want to do? How do you counter it?
We'll launch an online campaign with a webinar series where we're going to be creating awareness and educating people and sharing factual data, evidence-based data
Do you want to
that
do a
shows
webinar
that.
series or do you want to do a social media campaign?
No. We'll do a social media campaign because actually the misinformation was on social media. So we'll do a social media campaign
Mm-hmm.
by designing flyers, organizing live streams to get experts to talk about it, collaborating with influencers to talk about it, and just sharing stories from some of the victims back home, stories where they tell their raw stories and about their experiences and what or maybe their lived realities, what they are experiencing due to climate change.
Great. So in that case, let's present it to the group. I think we already have this one.
Okay.
And then let's kind of talk about it in the main group. Yeah. I'll
Okay.
post
Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minty.
Hi.
While
Are you done?
sorry,
Are you done with the discussion? We can then return because we
almost.
are kind of on time now.
Okay. Give us like 1 minute. You're done.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yes.
So it was just spoken about that how to balance it. God may be the cause of a lot of things, but He's also a cause of solutions. Our religious leaders, instead of ignoring the fact that this is happening or completely dividing us, they were like, we can pray while simultaneously.
So Kibaba and uh, Minette, am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Perfect. Who would like to present?
It's Minette.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's fine. I'll present.
Yeah. Maybe we shall supplement her.
Yeah, we can connect later.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Would love to. Nice.
Hey.
Hello, room one.
Mr. Joseph, I'm so sorry. The time was so short, so sorry.
No worries. I'm really hoping that like we'll be having more of such sessions, so we'd get to have more such conversations as well. So quickly,
Okay.
room one, have you decided who will present? Who will present from Joseph, your room?
Kaneng.
Oh my goodness, don't do this to me. The lady who presented, what's her name? I forgot. Please, can she kindly present? Because she understands it more or better than I do.
Simpe.
Please.
She's
Uh,
called Simpe.
uh, our counterparts from South Africa. I would give it to her. Please let her present. Let her do me this singular honor.
Sissy. Kanyang, you said you were going to present. Look,
Please go ahead. The floor is all yours, ma'am.
I think, to be quite honest, I will not hide from the fact that, Joseph, this is exactly the kind of lesson and the kind of exercise we need to just show that the thin lines between misinformation is exactly the conflict we find ourselves in. To be quite honest, everybody, I think as much as we've chosen this topic, what Joseph's entire presentation came to life is that it is not easy to distinguish sometimes when it comes to political, social systems, and religious beliefs, what counts as misinformation, what counts as not. Because it's easy theoretically to say this is misinformation and this is science in sometimes the Western world, because it's a continent or the part of the world that is heavily reliant and dependent on science. While when you come to the global South parts or the African continent, it is difficult then because you are trading the thin line in between offending people or completely having them turn their back on the conversation you're trying to have. So our topic was it was faith. Can you please help me here?
I can help you.
Balance.
I can help you. Our topic was respecting beliefs, embracing truth. Maybe I can give you the campaign, balancing faith and facts.
Yes.
And then, of course, you mentioned during the COVID.
Yeah. So the name was Balancing Faith and Facts. How then do we combat misinformation when we are living in a continent that is so heavily reliant on traditional and religious-based systems? It was then about approaching the people who are the head of these institutions like the church, the head of church who have studied theology, and honestly not trying to center ourselves in these conversations, but approaching the people diplomatically who are heads of these institutions, trying to educate them instead of presenting these things as misinformation, but firstly trying to educate them and raising their awareness, and also trying to educate ourselves as communicators into how then community-based knowledge system affects us. It's not trying to cement superiority and inferiority about who knows best, but we can also learn something on how to approach them, the language that they use, the kind of belief systems that they run into. And with that, then we can try to find a working system between us and the church, us and traditional leaders, and us feeding them information and trying to help them understand what science is saying or what the current trends are instead of just outright bashing them. So, yeah.
Okay, maybe the other lady can add what she was talking about climate farms, climate smart farming in less than a minute.
Okay. Yeah. So I was trying to share with you that we are currently implementing an activity in a local community, and this is a community that so much believe in religious practices, and they believe that whatever be the cause of their problem is attributed to God. So we came up with this initiative of introducing climate smart agriculture, and how we tried to introduce it was kind of funny, but it was just the best way we could present it. Yes, Borno State is a location that is located in the savannah or sub-Sahara of Africa, so it's relatively very hot. And because of how the temperature is and then the change in climate and everything, we came up with how to train people or groom people on how to cultivate their own food using sacks or containers that they no longer feel are useful. So what we did was we used the religion of the people to tell them that, look, God created even these things like the broken containers so that if you can't, have access to water, but at least you have streams, you can go fetch water and water your plants. I don't know how to explain it, but we had to find a way of telling them that, look, nothing is wasted. It is God who created all of these things, and He created it so that we could make very good use of it. So, whatever you find, containers or polythene bags, like sacks, most especially, it could be used to cultivate your food. And I bet you they were very, very happy, especially when they heard us mention God in the conversation. They became very, very much interested.
Okay. I can go to the next. Okay. Debisha,
Okay.
you can continue.
Yes. So, yes, from our group, we have Minette who will be presenting. So we have just followed the structure that you provided, like we identified the problem, and then based on the problem, what are the countermeasures we'll be taking. So, yes, over to you, Minette.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so in our group, we were just three of us. It was Immaculate, Devisha, and myself. What we identified as a misinformation out there, especially on social media, was the fact that Trump, when he came back to power, the US withdrew from the Paris Agreement, and there was also a narrative that he was pushing and is still pushing, which is that climate change is a myth, that it is not actually a reality. And that has caused a lot of people to even believe it in such a way that sometimes when you're discussing some of these climate issues, people don't even believe you. People, like, sometimes you post your pictures or you post any climate related issue on social media, especially Facebook and the rest, where we have this older generation. Some of them will come and be writing on that this is politics, climate change is a myth, it is not a reality. So to debunk this, we said we intend to launch a social media campaign where we can collaborate with influencers and maybe interview some of these people in the local communities who are actually living the reality, because we know Africa contributes little or nothing to the climate crisis, but they're actually the ones suffering the impact. So we intend to interview them, even carry out a survey to get raw facts and data that actually shows how people are suffering from these impacts of climate change. And we intend to also be very scientific about the campaign by bringing in facts and data to back up our campaign. Because one of the training we got yesterday, they said the first thing should be the science, which is the data, and then the second should be the story. So we don't just want to have an ordinary campaign. We intend to have a campaign that will actually make people to see the raw facts and data. And the data is not just going to be general, because sometimes people will say 50 people were affected by a flood, but they won't break it down to say amongst those 50 people, some lost their businesses, their homes, their farms, and the rest. And most of the times, the aid that comes from the government or other people to solve these disaster issues are always very limited to either foodstuffs, and it does not cover everything that people have lost. So that is actually what we intend to do, to organize a social media campaign with raw facts and data to just debunk the information. We can't actually do that alone. We all know Africans, or maybe most people in the global south, are fanatics. So we'll collaborate with religious leaders, politicians, schools, and everybody in order to actually make the campaign rich and actually something that will reflect our reality and maybe change the narrative. Thank you so much.
Said having this campaign will enable us show if the data we shall share on media will be evident, that it will be showing evidence that this is really happening there. For example, the floods happening all over Africa, in different countries. It will be an evidence that is showing that climate change is real. Things are happening because of climate change. The poor waste management that is happening all over because we don't have places of disposal. It is an evidence that climate is changing soon, because the wastes are ending up in water bodies and depleting water bodies. In a few years to come, the biodiversity is going to get issues. We shall not have aquatic life. So that is the evidence that will be shown in those designs, and through that we shall design flyers that are really showing that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you can hear you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Joseph.
Yeah.
Over.
Okay, I think all of the groups are presented, like the three of us, the three persons. Okay, now it's just wrapping up. So the last one. Okay, we can do the last slide before the thank you. Misinformation media training strategies, of course, this community training. And of course, we're going to use strategies like engaging storytelling and storytellers from Africa. We have all these people all over us. We have people that are good storytellers in terms of they're good in social media, they are good in communications, and they know how to interpret science. Of course, not necessarily a journalist. And then fact checkers, people that are in data and all that stuff. And then we have, as our sisters mentioned, social media influencers and all those people. And then we have to know like how to engage people, especially when we know we have misinformation and disinformation. How do we fight it so that we are able to go back to reality and know like this is not something that is true. And then content verification, where is the source? But I know, of course, these ones, they require a little bit of resources, but we can start step by step by first of all understanding what is misinformation and disinformation. And with that, I'm going to add on my wrap up and closing notes, of course, the recap and the key takeaways. Misinformation thrives where communities, journalists, farmers, organizations are weak. So it's upon us as a people to make sure that we are strong and we have prior information to what we are doing. That one will help us. And we have to prepare ourselves. Of course, I know we don't have big money like the big lobbyists and even politicians or even governments. But what we can do is that we can use the little resources in our community and in our organization to counter that. And of course, our role is critical. On top of that, we are going to share resources. These resources are